I don't like to read. You know, it's crazy because I've literally been in a great books group for like 8 or 9 years at this point. We read books like the Iliad and Aristotle and Shakespeare for fun. I've recommended at least 15 books just for this course, and I've probably read 2,000 to 3,000 pages about copywriting, but I don't like to read. I'd rather listen. I'd rather skim. I'd rather watch. And here's the thing, most people are just like me. They don't want to skim through super long paragraphs. They don't want to analyze big blocks of text. They want something easy, engaging, and effortless to consume. But that's in contrast to our sales letter approach, which is if you're advertising to people who aren't warm enough on your product yet, you have to spend a lot of time around them. So how do you spend a lot of time around them without writing a lot and making them read a whole lot of stuff? Well, the answer is the video sales letter, the VSL. Because when you put your pitch into video format, suddenly your audience doesn't have to pay as much attention, which is ideally the goal, so they get into an emotional state instead of an annoyed, man, I really have to read 2,000 words kind of a state, which makes it easy to say yes. And if you think VSLs are new, think again, because long before YouTube ads, before webinars, before TikTok hooks, we had late night infomercials. You remember them. You were half asleep on the couch, TV remote in hand, when suddenly, bam, Billy Mays is shouting at you about OxyClean. Or what's his name, about Slap Chop. Or Phil Swift, modern guy, talking about Flex Seal or Flex Tape or Flex whatever. But Billy Mays is sort of the OG that a lot of us remember. And yes, there are definitely people before him, but Billy Mays made a celebrity name for himself doing this, talking about OxyClean. His voice was booming, his shirt is crisp, and somehow you're hooked. You weren't planning on watching a 30-minute sales pitch, but here you are watching stains disappear like magic, seeing side-by-side proof, feeling the excitement build. It can't really do that, can it? Yes, it can. And before you realize it, you're reaching for your phone, ready to order. And that wasn't just a commercial, that was a masterclass in selling through video. But Billy Mays wasn't the only one who figured this out. As I mentioned earlier, Phil Swift, the mad genius behind Flex Seal and Flex Tape. You've seen the memes. One second you have a leaky bucket, the next second you're slapping a piece of tape on it and it's covering it up and fixing the problem. And just when you think you've seen it all, he takes a boat that he just sawed in half, tapes it up, takes it out on the Everglades where a croc is waiting to eat him, and that doesn't happen. He just sails right across the water unharmed. And guess what? It works. People remember this method. They trust it. They buy from it. Because these infomercials weren't just flashy. They followed the same psychological principles that still drive the best video sales letters today. So yeah, the format has changed. We're not dialing 1-800 numbers anymore. But the core strategy still works. I want to introduce you to Ty Lopez. In 2015, you literally could not go anywhere on YouTube without seeing this ad. It was everywhere. People lost their minds. It's basically the reason why ad blockers were invented. A bunch of people installed it for the first time just to escape him, and others saw it so many times that eventually they broke down and said, okay, fine, what is this even about? I guess I'll look into it, and they probably ended up buying. If you were alive during 2015, you already know the words. Here in my garage, knowledge. All right, this is colloquially, you'll still be walking around and hear someone be like, it's the knowledge guy. You're like, oh yeah, that guy. And it was crazy. It was a time to be alive. But this is a modern VSL. This is a modern infomercial, right? We're not selling a product with magical properties. But he comes on, he shows off his car, he says, I'm here in my garage, just got this new Lamborghini, but you know what I'm a lot more proud of than this Lamborghini are these 8 bookshelves or whatever I just got installed. And that's the point, is talking about learning, about growth and things like that. And so those words, here in my garage, or knowledge, they're either beautiful to you or they haunt your dreams. You were the one with the ad blocker. You couldn't look at it anymore. And this guy was so big that South Park made a joke about him. And all that, all the hype, all the annoyance, all the curiosity led to one thing. His program, 67 Steps, which costs $67. Why $67? Why 67 steps? Because that's the amount of days it takes to reform a habit. That was the premise of his video, 67, 67, 67. And it ran when ads were still cheap. But here's the kicker. It ran for months and months and months, nonstop, with one ad creative. If you're in the modern world of ad buying, you know that that's like basically unheard of, right? Most of the time you're having to create lots of new creative. What we call ad fatigue is just people are like, no, I don't want to look at the same video before. You at least have to reshoot it in a new environment with new people. Probably come up with 1,000 different hooks. Try each one on the same body copy over and over and over and over again. So it's not a whole funnel of variations. It didn't have constant tweaks and split tests to make it better. It was one single unchanging VSL/webinar, and it worked. And if anyone can teach us about how to make an engaging, high-converting video sales letter, it's this guy. So let's break down why it worked and how you can apply those principles to your VSLs and webinars today. All right, how to write and sell video. What we're going to learn today is Peter Kell. He's sort of the VSL guy. Peter Kell's $100 million VSL formula, how to be the hero of your own story, the 18-step VSL framework that I've seen other people use, a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, but this is a longer version of Peter Kell's story with the double tap close on the back end of it. The agency black tie VSL framework that attracts the right people to buy, and most importantly today, because we have talked so much about storytelling and structure and what to put on a page, especially in the sales pages the last couple of days, realistically, you probably know what needs to be put on the page. So we're going to have a much shorter presentation today and really get into the specifics for VSLs and talk about, all right, let's watch some of the best VSLs and see how they work, what they put in them, and how you can write them yourself. So why write VSLs? Look, I get it. VSLs can seem a little pushy. And yeah, they're not as trendy as they used to be. But just like with sales letters that we did over the last couple of days, this isn't a bad strategy. The key is making something, always with marketing, is making something that doesn't feel like an ad. If you can do that, you can make a quality VSL that people actually want to watch and they get something out of, right? So yeah, VSLs might not be as trendy as they used to be, but then again, neither is marketing that actually works. You have a lot of people who want to spend time just making a bunch of freebies, and hoping that people eventually come back and buy from them. But as previously stated, I am in the school of direct response. I think that's an awful strategy, at least when you don't have a good reason behind what you're giving, at least when you don't have a direct way for them to engage more, move further down the funnel, and yes, eventually buy from you. And if you made it this far into the course, you probably already get that, right? You're already sold on that vision. You're not here for the fluffy, feel-good branding that just looks nice. You're here for what sells, and VSLs sell. Because at their core, they aren't just for ads, they're visual storytelling. They're designed to change their watchers' beliefs. They take someone from, I don't need this, to, I can't afford to not have this. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today. So, here's a tale of two VSLs. And realistically, there's 3 or 4 VSLs. When you say video sales letter, you literally mean any video meant to sell. So this also includes ads. We're not going to talk about ads today, except to differentiate when an ad isn't an ad anymore and it's a VSL, right? But in our 18th class, we'll be talking about writing ads. For now, let's just focus on the VSL. We're actually starting with the sales page and making our way backwards. But outside of that, just thinking about like this video is on page. You know, you've clicked through from an ad, you've clicked through from social media, you come to a page, there's a video on it. There's really 2 big categories here. And the main difference is how short is it versus how long is it? It's pretty simple. The short VSL is probably 1 to 10 minutes long. You see them on landing pages with a lot of supporting copy. They work well in ads. They're quick, engaging, and straight to the point. And then there's the long VSL, and they're usually on standalone pages with nothing to distract the video. You're not supposed to scroll through and look at all the extra information on there. Basically, the short VSL is like, do you want to read or do you want to watch? And if you want to watch, you can skip all the reading, right? But then when you get done, you might want to scroll through and pick and choose here and there what you want. Whereas the long VSL is like, basically just the video on the page. And it's going to do all of the selling. There's nothing to distract the viewer. You just have to get in there and watch. And occasionally you see these like 60-minute behemoths used in ads. But let's be honest, most people are never going to sit through them. But it can be done. People suggest it, especially because you can select people to receive your ad that are on the warmer side of things. So you can say, you know, anyone who's watched 7 of my ad creatives in the last month, send them this. And they had to make it at least a minute into each one of my 3-minute things. If they've done that, yeah, let's send them the 60-minuter and see what happens. You can do that. They might be on the toilet still and they don't have 60 minutes to sit around, so it still could be a bad move, but it could be a great move. So if you're writing a VSL, the first question you want to ask is, what kind of video am I making? Because the length changes everything about your strategy. So let's start with, before we pick a length, before we pick a topic, let's talk about the Rizzler. Right? These 6 questions are from Peter Kell. That's the VSL guy I told you about. The name comes from me, David Franklin, at Traffic Trunk, but the Riddler belongs to DC Comics. Please, Warner Bros., have mercy. I am just a humble Creative Commons person making a joke. And at this point, the Rizzler is just straight pop culture. I made this up when no one was saying the Rizzler, and I've just been making this course for so long that the term the Rizzler is now in vogue. I think I should be good. Please be nice to me. Please, I don't want any trouble. All right, the Rizzler. But seriously, if you want to be dangerously charismatic in your webinar, if you want people to hang on your every word, if you want to rizz up your audience and make them feel understood, engaged, and completely sold, then you need to answer these 6 questions. Because a webinar without these, it's like Batman without a villain. It's like a TED Talk with no big idea. It's like a magician doing a card trick and nothing happens. Don't let that be you. Let's dive in. What are the 6 questions? And this is more like a simplified version of the Rizzler questions we did with Dan Kennedy. It's a short list because everything here is focused on the story. Everything in Peter Kell's thing is focused on the story, the problem, and the solution. So we're really just diving deeper into that. What is the physical problem your product solves? What is the emotional pain caused by this problem? All right, number 1, what is the physical problem your product solves? So why does this matter? Because people buy solutions to get real tangible results. If you can't identify the problem, your audience won't see it as a solution. So examples might be, for a weight loss program, the problem might be excess weight that leads to low energy, joint pain, and health risks like diabetes and heart disease. And the details might be something like, maybe your audience has clothes that don't fit anymore, or they struggle to climb stairs without getting winded. This is a daily reminder of their problem, right? A time management app. The problem is wasting hours on distractions and unorganized tasks, leaving people stressed and overwhelmed. Whereas details are like the emotions. Think of a never-ending to-do list or emails piling up faster than you can read them. It's about losing valuable hours that could be spent with family or working on passion projects. Why this works: people are motivated by pain, specifically the pain of their current situation. If you can clearly define that pain in physical, tangible terms, you've got their attention. So, what's the physical problem your product solves? Because once you nail that down, everything else follows from that, right? This part and the next part, the really pushing the pains that people are experiencing is extremely effective, but it is the part that is going to also give your VSL away as being very direct responses, being very pushy. So if that's your situation, if you're going to market to an audience that's a little bit more hip to the VSL thing, if they're a little bit more skeptical about the direct response angle, then you're going to need to learn how to disguise this. This might be either the physical problem or the emotional problem. And this might be through testimonials. This might be through telling your own story. This could be like a podcast format where you're leading in and you're like, oh, dude, like I couldn't get over this problem, but I was having this, right? There's so many different ways you can come at it. Instead of just saying, like getting on like I am right now, face to camera. This is what's known as A-roll instead of B-roll. And me just going, are you struggling with this? Are you having this problem? Do you lay awake at night dreading having to get up in the morning? Well, you need X, Y, or Z. Like that is a very old school version of the same thing. It can be very effective, but know your audience, know where you're meeting them and what they're going to be receptive to, right? Number 2, what is the emotional pain caused by this problem? Perhaps even more important than the physical pain, right? This is the real pain. This is the thing that just eats away at people all the time. So examples with the weight loss program. The physical problem is excess weight, low energy, joint pain. The emotional pain is feeling self-conscious every time they look in the mirror, avoiding photos or hiding behind people in group pictures, feeling judged when ordering food at restaurants, losing confidence in dating, relationships, or even at work. For the time management app, physical problem, wasting time, feeling unorganized. Emotional pain, overwhelmed by a never-ending to-do list, constant guilt, why can't I just get it together, feeling like they're failing as a worker, a parent, or a friend. Number 4, the stress of always playing catch-up and never feeling in control. So why does this matter? Because people move faster to escape pain than they do to move towards pleasure. So while your physical problem is annoying, the emotional problem is the weight of the problem that crushes them and makes them feel desperate for a solution. I say crushes them, not in a way to like exploit that. You are, when providing a real solution to these problems, you are really helping them. That is a great shift. So again, talking about ethos, build products that actually solve problems, or go work for people who have products that actually solve problems, and then you get to be as pushy or not pushy, or use whatever tactic is best suited to get people to buy, because you know you're actually helping them, right? So when you write your VSL, don't just say what the problem is. Show them how it makes them feel. Talk about it. Make them feel like, oh man, they know exactly what I'm going through, and then make them want a way out. So what is the root cause of the problem, and how do they fix it? And this is where we get a real breakthrough moment, because if someone's been struggling with a problem for a long time, chances are they think that's just the way that things are, or they think that they're personally not capable of overcoming it. But what if it's not? What if the real reason why they're stuck isn't what they were thinking at all? Example number 1 for a weight loss program, the surface problem is I can't lose weight, or I have no willpower. What they think is the cause is maybe that they're lazy, they have no self-control, maybe they can't afford good food or something like that. But the real root cause is that their metabolism is out of whack because they've been following bad advice. They've been set up to fail by unsustainable diets. How this fixes it: instead of another miserable crash diet where they're going to do something super briefly and just hate their life, this program rebalances their metabolism, lets them eat food that they actually like, and makes weight loss easy and automatic. That probably means a lot of cooking at home. Probably means a lot of substitutions in your diet. But right now we're just talking about the big wins, the big benefits, the things that they're actually doing to overcome this root problem, right? You're talking about shifting an identity from this can't be done to, oh wait, it can be done, right? Example 2, the time management app. The surface problem is I can't stay productive, I'm always behind, and they think that the cause is that they suck at time management or that they're bad at focusing. But the real root cause is that the brain isn't traditionally wired for that sort of thing. It's not a productivity system, right? They're trying to multitask too much in a world that's shoving multitasking at them every second of every day, notifications, bing, 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 and they just can't get anything done. So they don't have the structure that actually works for them. So what they need, what fixes it, is instead of forcing them into rigid, ineffective methods, this app adapts to how their brain works, helping them focus on what actually moves the needle without burnout. And why does this work? Why does this strategy work of revealing the root cause of the problem and how they fix it? Because this is where you create real belief in the solution. I think I said that just a second ago. You're moving them from it can't be done to, oh wait, actually, you know what? I think it might be able to. Because once they understand the true root cause and why nothing else has worked, then they finally see why this product is different. And that's when they get ready to buy. All right, number 4, what are the physical benefits of solving the problem? Now that we know it's possible, we want to talk about why all the good things that are going to come in life because you finally did it. This is where you start understanding a new reality. This is where you start painting the picture of what life will be like after the product. You see how similar this is to the 12-gauge landing page. But like I said, we're focusing so deeply on that problem and solution angle that we're refocusing on what questions we're asking and what points we're going to hit on, right? So when someone finally understands the real cause of their problem and believes in your solution, the next thing they want to know is, what's in it for me? Let's say I do go through this. Let's say it's a little bit hard. What actually changes in my life? So example number 1 for the weight loss program. Before, they feel sluggish, their joint hurts, their clothes don't fit, and afterwards they have more energy. They wake up feeling refreshed instead of tired and exhausted. They have less pain. They can move freely without their knees or back screaming at them. Their clothes fit better. No more squeezing into jeans or feeling uncomfortable in their own body. They look in the mirror and actually like what they see. Example number 2, the time management app. Before, they're constantly behind, overwhelmed, and working late just to catch up. And after, they have more time. They finish work early and actually have free time. Number 2, they have less stress. They finally feel in control of their schedule. Number 3, they have increased productivity. They get more done in less time without burnout. And number 4, they have better sleep. They're not lying in bed panicked about unfinished tasks. They know they're going to get everything they need to done. So why does that matter? Why are we talking about the physical benefits? We just talked about how important the emotional benefits are. Well, physical is so tangible. You do want the emotional benefits, you do. But here, the physical benefits might be playing a more important role. Because people don't buy products, they buy outcomes. And physical is just more real than emotional most of the time, right? They don't want to lose weight. They just want more energy. They want a better body. They want a pain-free life. So, what are the emotional benefits of solving the problem? I just said it wasn't as important, but this still is very important, especially as you build up the emotional problems. You want release. You want resolution to those problems. And realistically, people do buy products. They buy from people that make them feel good, or it makes them feel a certain type of way. That's something that they are looking to rectify. So example number 1, with the weight loss program, before, every time that they step on a scale or see a reflection, they feel disappointed or even ashamed. Now, quick warning, Facebook does not particularly like that angle. It's an extremely effective angle, but Facebook and YouTube generally don't like body shaming, more or less. They're like, don't make it negative, just look into the positive things. So you have to be very careful if you are promoting some sort of weight loss program, that angle is going to get rough. But there are going to be times, they literally in their example say don't show someone stepping on a scale. But specifically, you can kind of get after, or even looking disappointed looking in the mirror. Like, those are very powerful images, but not supposed to do them, right? So that can be hard. You can talk about some of the other things like lower energy, higher stress levels, just kind of burning out, feeling exhausted. So for what it's worth, there are also rules and regulations that make some of this more difficult, especially in the weight loss area. But it's a powerful area because a lot of people experience these emotions, are either unsatisfied with their fitness or their body for one reason or another. So that's why this is such a powerful example that people sell a lot of stuff around, right? So they go from being disappointed or ashamed to afterwards, their confidence is skyrocketing. They walk into a room feeling good about their own skin, feeling good in their own skin, not about their own skin. That's creepy. No more avoiding photos. They actually want to be in pictures, not hiding behind people. Happiness in social situations. They stop worrying about how they look and just enjoy life. And they reignite relationships. They feel attractive. They feel attractive again. That's good. They feel happy. It shows up in how they carry themselves. Example number 2, with the time management app. Before, they feel like they're always failing, like they're never caught up, like they're never good enough, like they're never in control. And afterwards, they have peace of mind. There's no more lying awake at night feeling overwhelmed. There's a sense of accomplishment. They finally, at the end of the day, they're feeling productive instead of guilty. They have freedom. They have more time to relax without feeling like they're falling behind. And they have less stress and more joy. They actually enjoy the work that they do instead of constantly fighting it. So, the emotional thing, why are we doing this? What's the thing that they want out of this? Well, realistically, they don't just want weight loss, right? The weight loss is causing emotional problems in their life, so they want confidence and happiness. People don't want better time management. They want to resolve the problems of stress, right? They want peace of mind, and freedom. And when you connect with how your product does that with their emotions, you don't just make them interested, you make them desperate to buy. Very important to touch on. So number 6 is who is the authority figure who can deliver the webinar. And this is really important. When we talked about the linchpin formula that ClickFunnels put together, I think we've talked about that in the course already. They have something called the attractive character flywheel. Now, this is someone who has an interesting story. And Peter Kell's VSL formula that we showed a little bit the other day is so deeply built into focusing on a single character. So the first 4 of them are about your personal experience and how it led you to make this new product, this new solution, and then we'll actually demonstrate the product. But it's very little on the product demonstration. So this is really important. We've determined the physical problems, the emotional problems, the root cause and how to fix it, the physical benefits, the emotional benefits, and we need someone who can naturally tell a story that's gripping and touches on all of those points. So it's absolutely key to have the right authority figure in place who can deliver this VSL/webinar. And so this person has to be trustworthy, because no matter how good your offer is, if they don't believe the messenger, they're not going to believe the message, right? So who's delivering the webinar? Why should I listen to them? Example number one, for weight loss program, maybe it's a fitness coach who's helped train thousands of clients to lose weight. Particularly for a while there were like a lot of Hollywood trainers that were coming out. Or like, I taught I taught Chris Hemsworth to get the Thor body, or I taught Chris Evans to get the Captain America body, whatever. Like, here's the exercises you should probably do. That's a great angle. That's a very authoritative fitness coach. Maybe it's a doctor or nutritionist who has real credentials. I'm not one of those people who are promoting fad diets or fad workout plans. I suggest real things that get real results for real people, right? Maybe it's someone who struggled with weight themselves who finally cracked the code. These used to be my pants. I think that was like a Subway commercial, right? Facebook will let Subway do it, but not the average person, right? Weird how life goes. And the key is that the person watching it needs to say that this person gets me. It needs to be like, oh man, that's exactly like what I dealt with, but maybe even more so. Example number two, for a time management app, maybe it's a productivity expert who's trained top CEOs. That'd be a great example. Like, if you were hypothetically a productivity expert who was like, Tim Cook was having trouble getting all this done, and suddenly I solved it, and now Tim Cook is crushing it, and I've applied that exact same mechanism to a technology that all of you can use as an app. I've already tried it on dozens of top level CEOs. It definitely works for like the average employee just trying to get everything in, plus a little side hustle on the side. That's a good pitch, right? Maybe it's a self-made entrepreneur who figures out how to reclaim their time, right? And you said, I used to deal with this. I was trying to be all things to all people. I was going into sales calls, and I was actually helping build the product, and I was having to do customer success, and I was having to actually go into all these meetings, and I was having to be the quality assurance person, and I'm having to coach my designer on how to not just make things that look pretty, but to actually produce results. And I'm having to coach my dev because they're like, for whatever reason, they build it on one screen and think that it's done. They're never paying attention to any breakpoints. And so, I'm having to do all of these things. I can't handle it all. And I realize that I need something that helps me manage my time, because that's just one more thing I'm having to keep track of, and it's a complete waste of my time. So I built this to help me reclaim my time. And maybe it's someone who used to be a total mess and found a system that finally worked. They're like, literally, I was like a D or F student. It wasn't what I wanted to do, but my parents, they convinced me to go to community college. They'll take anyone. Doesn't even matter if I nearly flunked out of high school. And for the first few years, I did not take it seriously at all. And then I met one teacher who explained to me why I needed to take it more seriously. And I realized I just didn't have the tools I needed to succeed. And this teacher that I worked with, well, they actually come from they saw themselves in me, right? So now we have two key stories. There's like a grandfather-father relationship to the viewer, right? You say he gave me the tools I needed to finally work with myself and not against myself, not just force myself to be someone I wasn't, but to give myself a structure that allowed me to be flexible enough to get things done, but still actually organized, right? And that's worked for me. It's worked for countless others, and I put it into an app. That's also a good pitch. So why does this matter? Why do we need the authority figure? Because experts that have real credentials, they with a track record and proof, are more believable. Plus, they have relatable success stories, and that's the key here. Is this VSL formula is going to lean so heavily on the story that you need someone who has a good story and who's believable and relatable and likable in that story. So let's jump in to the Hero VSL framework. This is, I had a problem, I'm going to face it. It went well, and I'm going to help you do it too. That's more or less the structure. So this is Peter Kell's structure. Again, he's the VSL guy. He's made a lot of VSLs in his life. He had a company that specifically helped you make VSLs from a software perspective. So very, very knowledgeable about VSL. So if you've ever wondered how to structure a video that actually sells, Peter Kell has a great formula. Again, it's the 12 gauge landing page, but just focused on the story. And that's what makes it so effective. It actually mirrors some of the greatest storytelling structures of all time. Think of the Pixar formula here. Once upon a time was like this. Every day we were doing this until one day this thing happened because of that, because of that, because of that. And now the character lives happily ever after. What do we have here in the VSL formula? Disaster comes to a lovable character. So it was kind of like life was like this, and then life was like this all the time. So we're spending less time in the before the problem, and we're saying like every day life sucked, which is a heck of a way to start off. But that is where this story starts off. It's still the Pixar structure. It's every day life sucked. What was it like? Let's really paint the picture. It was not good. And then one day this thing happened to me, and I realized I had to be the one to step up to solve this problem once and for all. The hero discovers the secret, and it works. You're like, oh man, it's doing great. I can finally do that. Because of that, I started getting more clients. Because of that, I started making more money. Because of that, I started having more peace in my life. I was able to have more stable relationships. I was able to finally grow my business from a 6-figure business that was barely 6 figures. I was struggling to make payroll. I was worried all of the time. I was taking out a bunch of debt on credit cards, and suddenly I've got an upper tier 7-figure business, and things are good. I'm not having to go into debt to make payroll. I have a lean team that accomplishes everything, and I'm able to provide lots of value to lots of people, and it's all because of this secret. So we tested it to make sure that it works. Our test confirmed its viability, and then you end all of that by saying, many want it, few remain, final chance to bite, right? You add some of that Dan Kennedy scarcity so that people don't just think, oh, I can come back to this and at any point pick up the solution. You give them reason why today is the time to do things. So let's dive in to each one just a little bit more specifically, right? So disaster comes to a lovable character. Something goes terribly wrong. The hero or audience surrogate is struggling with a huge problem that feels impossible to fix. For example, a small business owner watches their revenue drop, or a guy trying to lose weight feels defeated after another failed diet. All right, number 2, hero steps up to solve the problem once and for all. They refuse to accept failure. They go on to find a real solution. So an example, the small business owner tests dozens of marketing strategies, and the struggling dieter researches the science behind weight loss. Number 3, the hero discovers a secret and it works. They stumble across something game-changing, something counterintuitive, something hidden that no one else is talking about. All great hooks, by the way. Example, the small business owner finds a hidden marketing strategy, or the person interested in weight loss finds a diet hack that works without suffering. All right. Number 4, we wanted to be sure, so we tested it. Maybe it worked for one person, but was it a fluke? I want to see. I tried it with more people. Turns out it keeps working. So as an example, the small business owner not only used this for their business, but they take on a protege, and it works for that protege. And they have a friend who has a struggling business. He goes to them, and it also works. And then he goes to a business mastermind, and he's like, I just want to see, because I think I might be onto something. And 60% of those people now have 7-figure businesses. Whoa. That's a good case study, right? Someone who has weight loss is like, I thought, I could actually not do a crazy diet. I could do something that was sustainable. I could cook things at home with real ingredients, lower fat substitutes of different things. I'm going to use Greek yogurt instead of ranch or whatever it might be. And suddenly you're like, wow, I can't believe it. Like I'm eating what I want. And yet I've lost 30 pounds. It's insane. And I don't think it's coming back because I have no desire to change how I'm eating. I'm eating well. I'm enjoying it. It tastes good. I got rid of the fat, and I'm just using more herbs and spices, and things are flavorful. It's insane. And I want to help you do the same thing, right? That's a good pitch. The test is confirmed. We did it. So then we're like, boom, it's real. The strategy works for all kinds of people. And you really have to get over that hump. Like, it can't just be like, I tried it one other time. Like, you really do have to hammer home that I've tried it again and again and again, and it keeps working. So as an example, dozens of small business owners start seeing their sales skyrocket, or hundreds of dieters finally start losing weight without starving themselves. And then number 6, the part that's hardest to pull off, because especially with digital products, you're like, okay, is this, okay? Especially with digital products, you're like, is there really scarcity? And it depends. Sometimes you can't pull off the scarcity thing. Because if it's a course download, then you're like, well, yeah, they're not taking this down. They're just going to try and infinitely keep making money off of this. Now, if it's one-on-one coaching, that's a different thing because your time is pretty limited, or even group coaching because, again, your time is limited. But with digital products, it's harder. With physical products, obviously, it's not impossible, but it also has to be conceivable. So if Billy Mays, who now has flex tape in every Home Depot in the entire country, is like, but act fast, there's limited stock, you're going to be like, probably not. Probably not. I'm skeptical. So you have to figure out how to say it in a way that makes sense and probably introduce some real urgency. And that could be as simple as, we're not running out of product, but we are running out of sale because Black Friday, Cyber Monday ends. That's a way to add scarcity. We've talked about scarcity in the past, so I don't need to go into all the different ways to do it. Just very careful that you shouldn't introduce fake scarcity. One, it's just wrong ethically, but 2, people are hip to it and it's just going to be ineffective. So the general thing you want to say is demand is high, supplies are limited for whatever reason, if it's time or supply or whatever. And if they want the secret, they need to act now. That's the important thing. An example is we only have room for 100 students in this coaching program. Great natural one. This discount expires at midnight. Great example of how to add scarcity. And this works because it isn't just some random storytelling. It follows human psychology. It's the hero's journey, right? It's the Pixar story formula. It's what we love about a story. It's an underdog who comes across a new secret, and we all feel like the underdog in our own story sometimes. And so seeing another underdog who's now where we want to be, and they are giving us the secret, that works really, really well. And you can do it in ways that aren't just straight face to cam like I'm doing right now, in a way that maybe feels a little bit more natural and actually comes across to people because the core structure here works. The wrapper might just need to change in order to reach people who would have otherwise not been receptive to that message. Now, if you want like the 12 gauge landing page of VSLs with the double tap close, here's what we're getting at. So we're going to kick off with a powerful hook. We're going to zero in on the core problem and present a solution. Hey, that's very much like Peter Kell's VSL. We're going to back it up with credibility and share your origin story, make it relatable. So we're just breaking down the individual points that you need to hit on when you're doing the Hero VSL, right? You need to create a vision of their perfect world. Life is better for you. What about the other people that you help this with? What is life like for those people? If you were to start this today, what would it do for you? And then you can introduce your actual product, reveal your Godfather offer, your value stack. What are the bonuses that are going to come with it? You're going to bring their transformed future to life, really extra paint that picture, stack on massive value. This is your value stack, your offer stack. And then you're going to reveal your special pricing. Why now? Why today? Why is this limited time offer? And then we get into the double tap close. There's a call to action. You remove any perceived risks, handle your objections. You do a second call to action. You highlight the value again and inject more urgency. You see why this is the double tap close. You have your final call to action, and then you crush any remaining objections. And often when you do objection bust between different CTAs, you do end up touching on the same things. It is what it is. But those are clearly important objections, and you can hit them in a more aggressive way as you go through the funnel. So one other thing that I thought was worth mentioning is the Agency VSL Framework, which is the same story, but I see these people do this all the time, where someone comes on and they say, here's the type of people I'm looking for. And there's a ton of dollars behind it, which means it's effective. When people are spending a bunch of money on it, it means they're making a bunch of money back, right? So the Agency VSLs, you kick off with a powerful hook and you qualify the audience. You say, this is for X. So your hook, you come on the first 5 to 10 seconds and you say, most agencies are screwing over their clients. They don't even realize it. Or a pain point. If you're tired of spending thousands on ads with nothing to show for it, listen up. Or direct call out. Coaches who are struggling to book calls, this is for you. And your job here is to make the viewer stop the scroll, pay attention, but also to qualify the audience, to make them feel like they belong, right? You don't just want anyone watching your VSL. You want the right people. This is where you filter out the tire kickers and the wrong audience. And because of the AI and Facebook and YouTube and Google's going to learn like what type of person stops watching, right? Formerly we would target this, but now you're like, oh wow, like okay, we're gonna get a good idea. This is more, this call out is perhaps most important in your content on Instagram. It's most important for your ads on wherever you're running your ads, right? But it does still apply to your VSL. I'm just saying that you don't want a funnel that's huge up here and really narrow here. You kind of want to narrow it at the beginning so that you spend less money on it and less time making content that's irrelevant to other people, right? But, it's a great way to do that. And then you tap into the what's in it for me. This is kind of an all together what benefits are coming out of it. You agitate the problem that they've had before. You hint that there's a solution. Something's going to come along. At first it seemed too good to be true, but then you realize it's real. You build perceived value and it works. Wow, proof. Here's all the people it worked for. Call to action number 1. You agitate the problem again. You inject urgency and go call to action number 2. You see how similar it is to the Hero VSL framework, but also how it's specifically taking the beginning and tailoring it to people. And because they might be a little more specific, that what's in it for me can have a little bit less storytelling in it and can have a little bit more like, if my hook is, most agencies are screwing over their clients and they don't even realize it. But we've been running this Facebook ads. I'm thinking of a guy named Josh Coffey who has something called E-commerce Alley. He has something called the scientific method for ads or something. It's not coming to mind immediately, but his shtick is the ad lab. And so he comes on and he's like, all right, here's how we're going to generate like 100 different hooks for an ad. We're going to test all of them really, really fast, figure out on a minimum viable product level what we can put out there, what's going to work, and then we'll run it for you. And we do that. It keeps costs down and it helps us get to a proven ad way, way faster. So that's a good way to come in and say, what's in it for me, is that's what we're revealing. It's way more logic based. You're going to say like, I was working with a client who was really struggling with this. She was so tired of all of the wasted money and everything like that. She was spending thousands on ads with nothing to show for it. She came to me and I was like, no worries, I've got you. I do this in my own business. It worked really well. And then she started referring people to me and it worked really, really well. And I'm booked solid. I hired more people, but there's only so many people I can take. So I made this course to help other people because I can't come to all of you personally. I just don't have enough time. But I wanted to make this to help people through this situation. All right, that's a good what's in it for me. I'm revealing this. You've made it reasonable why you're giving away your secret for such a small cost. That's great. That's a great way to start. All right. So the product hook, this is just one thing for affiliate marketing and e-commerce. Anything that you're like, I'm pushing a product, particularly a smaller dollar product. When I say smaller dollar, I mean, there's a lot of wiggle room there. I mean, like still like tens to hundreds or even low thousands. I'm just saying we're not in the car territory. We're not in, I don't know. Like I'm thinking like technically like a Rolex watch could fall into this category, but it's really getting out there. I'd say probably sub 1,000 is a good category here. And sometimes that can be high ticket, but if you're buying a car for $1,000, like those trucks that are like only half truck, they're just like a pickup bed, but they don't have everything they need. That would be like, I don't know where I'm going with that. So if you're selling something small dollar, and small dollar is relative, I think that's what I was getting at, is that even a truck can have a small dollar version of it, right? But if you're selling something small dollar, your hook is almost always going to be a bold claim about a product. Like this Kachava coffee alternative helped me get rid of my gut inflammation. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling more energized, and I don't have any sort of crash from coffee or whatever it might be, right? That's a bold claim about a product. That angle is super effective. It's worth considering and using pretty often. So as you're making your ads in VSLs, this is very, hey, Josh Coffee ad lab method, is you want to have a lot of ad groups and really pay attention in the first like 5 to 10 seconds, whether you're saying something different with your hook, or you have a different visual hook on screen. You're doing it with a different environment. You drop something, you pick something up, you do it from a powerful angle. Like I did this one where someone was reaching into a jar and coming out as like a glass jar so you could see through it. Very impactful. You can test lots of different things like that, lots of different hooks for the same ad, for the same back, 1 to 9 minutes. You can do that, but make sure that the front, you're tweaking it and running lots of tests, because that's where a lot of results come from. And finally, before we get into the core examples, some tips for those longer, the 10 to 60 minute VSLs. Vitalytics is a company that offers software for people who are trying to host VSLs, and so they have a lot of insight into what works and what doesn't. They recommend the 15 to 30 minute range. The bigger the cost, the longer the video. Kind of normal. We're talking about how to make friends and influence people, how to flip that like switch, and you're like, you need proximity. You need to be around people for a while. So you want more duration. Then you want to this is something I've seen ClickFunnels do like a create your own adventure for demographics and psychographics to deliver more targeted landing pages and VSLs. So you can have some sort of a quiz, for example, that sorts people in and then gives people things that make more sense to them. Vitalytics can do interactive VSLs as well, which has engaging features. And finally, there's ClickBank is a huge affiliate marketing company, and they have an interview with the guy who runs Vitalytics. You can go there. It's a cool resource. I'll drop it in the description. You can go through and watch it. It has nothing to do with VSLs themselves in the way that the other stuff I linked to will be, where they're like literal VSLs, but it's a lot of great insight on VSLs and what works. So what if it was even longer? What if instead of 10 to 60 minutes, we're doing 60 to 120? For ease sake, I just call those webinars, and anything under 60 minutes is a VSL, but there's a lot of crossover, but they can be different because you're trying to get people to pay attention a lot longer. So for webinars, we'll talk about all of that tomorrow. And for now, we're going to go into 5 different VSLs. They're going to be a little bit on the longer side. And so to make sure I can actually deliver this, because that's my main worry, in order to make sure I can actually deliver this, I'm going to cut off the camera now, and I'm going to start again. I'm going to watch through these with you. And I'm going to originally just try posting this on YouTube and Rumble and seeing what happens. If that one video gets taken down, I understand it's technically, you're technically allowed to show these things for education purposes. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to be starting and pausing it, which is transformative. Technically, this should be within the rules. YouTube in particular is not very great at dealing with these sorts of appeals. So if that happens, you might be on YouTube and being sent to Rumble. If Rumble also doesn't like it, this might need to go on a Google Drive. If Google Drive doesn't like it, maybe I'll host a video on a Notion. If that doesn't work, maybe I'll turn it into a PDF with timestamps, and you'll just have to deal with what you get. But I'm going to try to figure this out, and can't figure it out until after I posted it. But I'm going to keep it separate so that this training that you've watched just now isn't in danger. It will stay up. As far as watching the examples, worst case, I can always link to these, and they should remain up. Fingers crossed. But I'd love to get it so that I can pause and play and watch along with you and comment and do that transformative thing that makes it more valuable. So look first for a video in the playlist right after this. If not, check the description and we'll figure out what version of this exists for you to see me walk through all the examples. See ya.